Well, it says I'm live. Okay. Oh, man, let me get my collar straightened out here. Hope everybody can hear me and see me. Hope the picture's good. Let me see if I get a few in here. See if anybody jump on chat right quick. Hope the volume's good. Looks like the audio's coming through pretty good. Let me double check my settings up here. Make sure everything's coming through good. And hopefully it is. Check my mic. Hey, Tim. I'm just over here checking my settings right now. Hope everything's coming through good, loud and clear, and the picture's good. Hey, Jim. How are you? I'm I'm over here at the Napa Store. Thought I'd sit out here at the showroom today to give y'all a little bit of different viewpoint and everything, vantage point of what we've got here, other than just seeing my office. Yeah, I'm enjoying it out here. It's got a lot of the tool boards and a few other things behind me, and just sitting over here enjoying myself, trying to get around all this coronavirus, COVID-19, see what the heck it's going to do to us situation. It's aggravating right now. I think some of the steps they've taken are aggravating. I think some of the precautionary things probably good in some respects, but they have blown it so far out of proportion. It seems crazy. Hey, Ponka, how are you? I don't know what everybody out there feels like it, but I think they're really putting a squeeze on things. And if you're not selling toilet paper, you're not able to sell anything right now. It looks like everybody wants to sell, make sure they have enough toilet paper. I don't understand the logic behind that, but everybody's out there trying to make sure that they're not going to be the ones that run out of toilet paper. And that's probably the last thing I'm worried about running out of. I can't eat that. And I want to make sure that I have enough food supplies if there's any kind of panic. But other than that, I'm not interested in toilet paper. I'll make do. Yeah, it's sort of a crazy situation out there right now in the world. I've never seen it panic like that in all my years. I've seen some low-level panics and rushes on stuff, but right now they're trying to take this to the next degree. Hey, Heavy Wrench, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. Just out here at the store thought I'd give everybody a little different perspective out here. I'm sitting out here among the tools, and there's my tool board right behind me here. Got all the Carlisle tools and everything's like that. And then over here to the right of me, got a lot of the Snap-on and not Snap-on, the DeWalt and Milwaukee and Craftsman and everything else we carry. Trying to just get in here and make the best of all this crazy crap. Yeah, I saw your video about your white toolbox. Hold on a second. I gotta get a paper towel right here. Got a runny nose. Yeah, I saw your thing about the white toolbox. That's a tough toolbox to have, especially in a heavy duty area, because you definitely could. I would not want a white toolbox with my guys. I got black toolboxes, and so they'll hide the dirt. It's a tough situation, but it is what it is on that. But it's pretty toolbox. It's pretty toolbox. It's like everything else. It's like having a black automobile. Black automobile is one of the toughest ones to have, because you really have to Now I don't have COVID-19, guys. I'm just got a little bit of a running, a little bit of allergies, I think. But you know, it's it's tough to have certain colors in different aspects and everything. It's hard to be able to manage that. You bought up a lot of toilet paper, Ponca. Yeah, some people probably have. Yeah, Evercraft. I got Evercraft too. That's another one that we carry. Yeah, we got a pretty good selection. We got a pretty. I'll spin it around here too. As you can see, there's some more of the tools. There's DeWalt and Milwaukee and Craftsman, and I've got a pretty good selection of that. And like I said, the tool board back here, it extends way on down the aisle. The tool board is that is a real good one. People really like it because they can come in and buy, a 10 millimeter, not have to buy a whole set of something. And, you get into a situation, most of us will have a particular tool that we'll lose, 10 millimeter being a real popular one. A lot of people evidently lose a lot of 10 millimeters. So we sell a good many of those. Do I run with the trucks? I'm trying. Well, as far as my trucking business and everything, of course, I've set up there at shop. I had to set up again there one time when I get a good signal. My signal is not as good down at the shop. I have real good Wi-Fi here. I've done some live feeds down there, and I can kind of show the shop, and I've tried to show some areas, but my guys down there, we got a good variety. Or unfortunately, I get it off my rack and turn around and charge it back to my shop, and it is what it is. I supply all the tools at my shop. My guys don't have to buy tools, but they don't. Nobody takes tools home either, and nobody. It's just something that I've always done. It's worked good for me. Hey, comfortable man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't have white toolboxes now. Yeah, if I had white toolboxes down at my shop, I would. They would have to spend too much time, or somebody would, cleaning them up. Those greasy trucks, they can really, we'll get a little bit of brake cleaner or whatever, clean off those black boxes and everything every once in a while. They keep them clean. They keep them grease free, so you don't, grabbing them and you're having grease all over your hands and that kind of stuff. But as far as shining them up, we don't shine them up and that sort of stuff. I've got a toolbox back here in the back here. I've got one of those Hobart toolboxes I'm going to take to the shop because I had a customer to order it. And we brought it in. It came in damaged a little bit, and Napa was going to give me some money off on it for him. Just had a damaged caster, and they said they'd give him a new caster. And he didn't. He wanted a whole bunch. He wanted half of it off, and of course, they weren't going to do that. I mean, it was an expensive box. It was about I want to say about a $1,500 box, and he thought he could get it for $700 or something for just because it had a small damage on it. And they said, no, we'll give you some or give you another new box. But he didn't want to do it. So I ended up with the box, unfortunately. And I'm going to just take it down to the shop and, take the discount off from Napa myself. Yeah. Yeah. We got people. Yeah. I got some, I don't know if I got any masks left or not. Let me see. I ran out the other day. Let me walk over here and see. I don't think we have any masks. Y'all bear with me. But I got the suits over here. Do we have any masks? I got a rest. I got 1, 2, 3. Let me get back over here. Looks like I have I've got 3 of the respirators left over there, but I don't have any of the just a regular body shop mask like a lot of people want. And there's a couple others that really close in on your face good. Yeah, I guess people are going to panic with all sorts of things out there right now. You never know. But right now, like I said, I've got some respirators over there, and I don't have any of the just small masks. I had a bunch of them at one time, and we had one of the Lincoln County Police Department wanted all we had, so they came over and got every mask we had, I guess. And I went ahead and sold it to them without any reservation, because I felt like, well, if anybody needs them, the guys on the front lines need them. And so I was glad I had some of those to sell them. And I was actually the only one in the area that had any left too. Everybody had been swamped. You can't find masks anywhere nowadays. Like I said, you can get the more expensive respirator because people they don't want to spend that much. I think that's, I don't know, $50 or $60 just for that. I have no idea, to tell the truth. It's an expensive respirator, but it's one with that. And I got the suits over there, the white suits that you can wear, sort of a containment suit and that sort of stuff. Well, and that's exactly right, Tim. No, the governor of Ohio, I agree with you. The governor of Ohio is he's a panic guy right now. He's what he came on and said and all kind of crazy stuff. He's just an idiot. I mean, we've got some idiots out there, and I'll put that governor of Ohio in there too. From what I heard, what he said, I don't know if JC's in here yet or not, but yeah, the governor of Ohio is definitely one of the crazy ones. Yeah, I think he is too. I think he's an idiot. So I don't know where. I have to ask if JC jumps in here. I have to ask him about that, because that guy, that guy definitely, what he came on and said on live on the TV the other day was, I was like running in a theater and hollering fire. People like that. You don't need people doing that. Well, as far as transportation, I thought about this, and if it gets into the transportation business and the transportation business can't deliver, and we have too much if the truckers quit coming to work and the truckers keep keep the supply chain going, we're in bad shape. So we better hope that the supply chain does not get disrupted by a situation with truck drivers. Hopefully, truck drivers will stay healthy. Hey, JC. Yeah, we were just talking about your good Ohio governor and everything getting on TV, and just it sounded like an idiot to me the other day, declaring how many he thought all these people were infected. And I don't know. I don't know if you even saw it or not, Jason. Yeah, Walmart has, fortunately, as far as toilet paper, it's a lot of that's manufactured. There's a Bowater plant. I don't understand the panic on that. Yeah. Yeah, shoving. But boy, my wife was upset when she saw what he said, and she said that guy had to be an idiot for trying to announce what he did on TV and everything else. And I mean, it's some of these governors and people we've elected like that it's crazy. Yeah, Georgia Pacific is a big supplier of paper, and I don't understand the panic on paper products. I would be more concerned about, with medical supplies than I would paper products. And, I hope they don't hope China doesn't screw that supply chain up with medical supplies. And that's what we need to be concerned about right now. In my opinion, we're on away from the United States, and we're dependent on any of these foreign countries. My father-in-law was a very smart man. He passed away years ago, but he told me years ago, he said, we have turned into a service society. Because we don't manufacture the product. And if we don't manufacture the product, then we've got no control over it. And that's what has happened, and which I think is very critical and everything. But, it is what it is. It is what it is on that. I hate to see that that we're going down that rabbit hole, you might say, that we're going to be dependent on that. So other than that, I hope everybody else will, have a good week coming up. I'm a little bit concerned with all these things that have been implemented, that it's really going to disrupt the workflow this week with a lot of Americans. I don't know what y'all's situation is. Most definitely, the corporations, and I blame the politicians for letting this happen. They let all this go overseas, and now all we can do is we're at the mercy of another country who can shut off our supply chain, even though these corporations own maybe something over there, or they're subcontracted. It's just terrible. We got to be self-sustaining. Like JC said, if we cannot manufacture what we need, and when we've let 90% of the manufacturing of everyday products go overseas, then we're a bunch of fools for doing that. And I don't understand that. I do not. It is greed, because of the fact that, people wanted to have stuff cheaper, and they wanted to manufacture everything cheaper. But being able to manufacture that and let, the government should have stepped in and said, wait a minute, X amount of our supplies need to be manufactured here, period. Things have been going overseas for years, but it's really escalated, in my opinion, in the past 15 to 20 years. It's really escalated, maybe even a shorter time span than that. You think about it, all of our electronics are made overseas. And the scary part is letting all the pharma products, all the pharmaceuticals. Hey, Shoestring. Yeah, they do. They all, and that's a crazy thing. And a lot of us get on where we talk about Snap-on tools and Snap-on tools made in America. Hey, that's a great thing. We pay more for Snap-on tools. Snap-on makes a great product, and we ought to realize that in other avenues like Snap-on, and because if we don't, we're going to lose those. Hey, Philip, how are you? But yeah, we need to. But I got the old hat on to get rid of the hair day, I guess. But yeah, we have got to take charge of this, because it is scary, and I've seen it. I remember, and now this is taken way back because I'm older than a lot of guys, but I remember my very first transistor radio that our mother got us and this was probably in 1960. And I was about 9 years old, I guess, 10 years old. And we got a little transistor radio made in Japan. And I remember that distinctively, that it was a made in Japan, and there wasn't much. And back then, made in Japan, made in China is about the only product. And you got that, and you got made in India, you've got made in, Pakistan. You got all. I'm like that too. You see a thing that you think you're getting a good product, and then it's packaged in the USA. I mean, that means it was shipped over from overseas. They reassembled it, took it out of the huge crate, and they took all the individual parts and then rewrapped them in the United States, trying to get the made in the USA logo stuck on there some way. We've got to start building more product. The problem is we have let our infrastructure of all of our building products go overseas. So what's happened? Everything's been disassembled or done away with. There are very few cotton mills, very few coast. I don't know how much on the West Coast, but the East Coast especially. There was a cotton mill in every single town in the United States almost, it looked like. And there's none of them anymore. The steel industry, the same way. There used to be steel mills, of course, in Pittsburgh. And I mean, it was built on steel mills and that kind of product. Birmingham, Alabama, that was a big steel area. All these different places. All that has gone away. Every bit of that has gone away. And we are dependent for steel. We are dependent for clothing. We're dependent for drugs. We're dependent for just about every facet of our life. We have to have it shipped from overseas. And people can complain about MAGA hats and complain about Make America Great, but Trump had the best idea about bringing product back, bringing manufacturing back. I mean, I don't care if you like him or dislike him for anything else. He was the smartest guy on that about bringing manufacturing back. And now these people that were fussing about him, talking about that, they're saying, hey, this guy was actually right, whether you like him or not. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever. President Trump had it right, and he won't get credit for that. All you get credit for is the fact that, this thing has happened right now. Well, it has happened, and it ought to bring everybody to light to say, this guy was smart about that. He's a businessman, and I like him for that. I mean, his personality and everything else is offensive to a lot of people. So be it. I don't care. But he's a good businessman, and he's trying to get the United States back on track as a business. And I applaud him for that. And I don't care if you're and guys, I've told y'all, a lot of guys out here, I'm an old registered Democrat, but my party has left me. I don't care. I vote with my brain. I don't vote with any kind of party alignment, period. But I've been an old registered Democrat for years, just never have changed my party affiliation. But my party left me several years ago on that as far as a party. And I was an old Democrat for years because that's what everybody did in this area. I mean, we're old Southern Democrats, but that has changed dramatically. And it's crazy that, and I hate to talk politics because people say, oh, you're out there talking politics. No, I'm talking America first. America first is all I'm after. And if people can't realize that right now, something's wrong. I'm all about America. I don't care what party anybody votes for, but I want everybody to come together for America and do it right. I mean, I've been out here too long to see things tore apart because of stupid politicians. And I'm saying both sides. I mean, they get up there and fight over nitpicky little things. And when the average American wants a good job, somewhere to work hard, make some money, come home and be comfortable, that's what 99% of us want. I don't care what your affiliation with your parties are. I want to be able to, have a good USA, and that's it. And I'm just, it's just crazy. I don't want to see the U.S. go down the rabbit hole that other countries have gone, and I don't want to see the U.S. go I tell you what, one thing I'm going to harp on right now. People talk about, oh, yeah, we always have been socialists. We have got the perfect example of what happens when a socialist mentality gets a hold of situations. What have we had? Panic over friggin' toilet paper of all issues, and emptying out the shelves with toilet paper. Well, if people think that that's a panic, wait till they see if something were to flip this nation into a socialist nation, and we're like Venezuela, and our money's no good, and we're out there fighting for food, and situations like that. That's what I hate to. I hate to see it. I missed out on you, Chris. What? Yeah. Well, I tell you what, there's some crazy things that they're trying to jam down our throat right now, and this is going to. And I'm saying this on a personal thing. They're jamming down a sick leave thing that small businesses. I don't see how we're going to be able to afford it. I mean, if so I don't give sick leave. I give vacations in my store, but I don't give sick leave. But if we are inundated with sick leave that we have to pay for, you could bankrupt some of these small businesses. So I don't know. They say, well, you get a tax break. Well, a tax break's not going to do you any good if you're paying out, hundreds and thousands of dollars, and they're expecting you to pay that while you can't even run your operation. Boy, they're asking for some crazy things there. Yeah, and I haven't, we're talking about the stores. The problem we get is the supply chain. And I'm in that. Yeah, that's exactly right, JC. A tax break doesn't come weekly like a paying out a payroll and everything. So it could really hurt. It could really hurt me. And if I have a situation like that, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. They could bankrupt some small businesses with that thing about sick leave. I mean, because most small businesses don't give sick leave. I don't give sick leave. I mean, so it's the viruses have I checked it just a few minutes ago. It's contained more in the Northwest in the Washington state. There's been more deaths. I think we've had 50 or 55 deaths right now. I don't know. Since this has started. Okay, now and that's bad, but that's nowhere near what the normal flu season gets. And a lot of people have tried to blow it out of proportion on that too. The normal flu season will kill in the thousands of people. Well, we've only had 50 or 60 people that have died so far, and I hate it for everybody. And those are being very susceptible people in rest homes and stuff like that. And if people get it, and there's been a lot of people that have gotten it, and a lot of people have gotten over it too. It's not something that's deadly for everyone. I mean, it's a bad sickness. I'm actually in the group that's most susceptible. At my age group is the ones they say, the 65 and above, and I'm in that group. But I and I'm cautious. I don't shake hands anymore. I'm No, I don't think we've hit bottom yet. Yeah. So you're in the same thing. Are you comfortable, man? We've got to be diligent on doing these things right. I mean, we got to. Everybody has to do their due diligence right now. You've got to go back and analyze what it takes for you to survive, and what you need to spend your money on, and what you need to do to make sure the situation. Of course, now my guys, we've got the Lysol can out right here, And what we have been doing, every time people have ever one or two customers that go in and out, my guys go out there and wipe down the doors because we don't want the spread of, in case something comes through. My guys are wiping off the counters more. I'm actually seeing my place looks really clean because my guys are doing a great job. Hey, Tim, how are you? It's a real good time not to have debt. I mean, I'm in my old chair here and I'm going to have to set up. I'm just keep sliding further and further down. Yeah, the fuel situation, it's affecting everybody. It actually, mine's prorated, so mine stays pretty much close to the same. As it goes down, I actually get less per mile, so I don't gain anything. People say, "Oh well, the fuel's gone down. I guess you're making a bunch more money." No, mine's prorated on the cost of fuel. So we actually probably stay about the same, and actually sometimes are because the differential on the freight rate changes and just different things like that. So there are some cutoff points that it actually can hurt me if it goes down too far, too quick. Anyway, so you have to watch all of that. But FedEx has been very, very smart on keeping it at a sort of a even keel type thing. So my net amount that comes back to me each week does not fluctuate up and down like it does in a lot of places. I mean, there are some that are not tied in with the fuel and the fuel surcharges that their rates can really fluctuate up and down and really hurt them. And then if it fluctuates way down and they don't get the freight rate they need and they're not getting the revenue they need, then they run around with that for a couple of weeks and then boom, it goes back up. And then it never fails with some companies. It seems they drag butt getting it back to the point that they need to be. But FedEx has got theirs geared in there and it's tied to it on a weekly basis. So we don't have a lag time like other companies. So I am very proud that we've got that. Yeah. And I'm seeing some people, I had a guy talking about fertilizer, talking about farming. He was talking about the price of fuel going down and maybe it's going to fluctuate the price of fertilizer down because of all the petroleum products that's used. But, a lot of people don't realize even though the supply chain, it may take a while to get it down to the end product because the end product, doesn't reflect it as quickly because you got, months and months of supplies out there. Are you ready to start with FedEx Ground? Well, I mean, this is the slow time of the year anyway. I will tell you that, Robert. And we're getting a disruption with all this chaotic stuff going on right now. So I think things will slow down, but think about it, without all this panic and everything, things are going to have to come back because people are going to need supplies. I don't care what happens. You're going to need your normal supplies. So we will be delivering freight. It may be different amounts of a particular kind of freight. Your freight that is more luxury type things may not. They may take a back seat for more critical things. I think your critical supplies are going to start ramping up. So I don't know, Robert, but that's kind of the way. That's my feeling on it. I've been at it a long while, and I've seen the ebbs and flows of the trucking business. So, my general thought is that our critical, your food, your drugs, all these critical things are going to ramp up, and you're going to see more of that coming into the supply chain. Your lesser things, your clothing, your furniture, just other commodities that are not as necessary will probably take a back seat. And, some manufacturing are going to kind of probably flip some things and to changing the production if they can. But this is our problem. Production is not controlled by us as much as just supply right now. And this is the whole premise of what I've been trying to say. We don't manufacture anything anymore. Everything, it seems like every single thing that we get. I mean, I just bought more trucks. Hopefully we're in the process of buying out 6 more trucks down, or 6 more routes down in Savannah. And, we're dependent on these ports right now. And Savannah's port is in the United States. Savannah, Georgia is, and they're doing a great job. And gosh, the warehouses are just rampant. You would not, it's like they're building cities at a time. It looks like, of nothing but warehouses. There's one down there near our we got 3 terminals in Savannah, Georgia. And the one nearest the port, 313, they have built so many warehouses around there that, several of those places have had to install their own cement plants down there. In other words, they can't get enough cement trucks on the road. So what they're doing, they're bringing all their own supplies in and making cement right on the job site. I mean, huge. They'll build a huge cement plant, and it supplies enough for all these different warehouses being built around them. And then, then they tear it down, and they have to do that in-house right there. And that's amazing to me. Well, I can. There's plenty of suggestions on that, Robert. I just I've got so many different things when it comes to the FedEx. I probably bore a lot of people just on the FedEx side if all I did was talk about that too. But yeah, we've got a situation where work hard with it. You gotta. I don't know what all you're doing, so it's hard for me to analyze. I mean, I have about 50 trucks. I'm fairly large in the Southeast as far as a FedEx contractor. I own about 50 something trucks. Not all of them are dedicated routes. As far as my routes, I only have about 35 to 40 routes. I even have to look myself. I don't even know how many I've got. And I employ about 55 drivers, and I'm getting ready to boost it up another 6 or 8 drivers. So I'm gonna probably employ about 60 drivers before it's over, said and done in the next few weeks. If all goes like I'm planning anyway. I mean, it's not a done deal. It's things that are under negotiations and things that we got to work out with FedEx and all kind of stuff. So it's not a easy task to get all that done. But that being said, I mean, it depends on where you're getting in on the levels with FedEx, and different locations that needs the help, because there are some areas that are going to be more depressed. I mean, I've got some I pulled away. I sold 6 routes a year or so ago out of the Greensboro area because I didn't want to grow in that area. I like the growth that I see in the Savannah area better. No boundaries. I don't know who No Boundaries is. Yeah, there's some of them that are always. I mean, is that the one out of Atlanta you were talking about? It's I don't know every specific contractor. I'm one of the largest and the oldest in the Southeast. I'm definitely one of the oldest. I've been with them 33 years. So, I keep sliding down in my old chair. I got my office chair out here. But, like I said, I'm one of the, I'm probably, if not the oldest contractor. I'm because I know everybody in North Carolina, South Carolina. I don't know everybody in Georgia. I know a lot of them in Georgia area. But I've I've been in it since 1987, so y'all can count the years. I'm not. There's no fudging on that. It's 1987 to 2020. So you do the math. They're huge in FedEx. Okay. Okay. Now there's a couple of these people that have been bought out. Comfortable, man. I mean, there's a lot of these investment bankers and a few other things that have come in and bought. And I was approached by some too about buying me, and I decided not to. And they're going in there and they're doing it a different way than I do it. I'm a hands-on. I started the business. I grew with the business. I own the business. I'm not one of these that's I've got an executive here and I got a manager here and a manager. I mean, I've had all these people as I grow. They keep saying, "Well, who's your management team or what are you doing here?" And I go, "That's me." You know, I don't. They said, "Well, how are you handling that?" I said, "Well, I just do. I work diligent 24/7 almost." Now, I do have a young team. I have a husband and wife team that I've spoken about. And he actually has a lot more time on his hands right now because he first off works for NASCAR. He's a fuel guy from NASCAR, and he and his wife has been working directly with us. She's an employee of ours, has been for several years now. And I have sold a couple. Children don't want to take over my business. My son's an electrical engineer, and my daughter works for me in the business, but you know she doesn't want to firsthand do it herself. So, you know, that's where I'm at on this. I mean, I'm gonna try to read some stuff. I'm not. Well, I try to be. I guess I am an old relic. As you guys can see, there's plenty of gray hair here on here. What hair's left? Yeah. I've got a butthead that meets in Caryville. Is it Caryville or no? It might be the one down in Knoxville area. I've got one. I don't know if can't remember if it's the Caryville or the Knoxville, East Knoxville, but we butt with a team out of Indianapolis and everything, and I feel like they will. I mean, the problem we've got somewhat is everybody is sort of self-contained right now, and they're kind of staying inside doing less things. The problem is now what I see getting impacted the worst right now is restaurants and bars. Of course, hospitals are going to be overworked. But then you're going to have other, like I say, other retails. I mean, even my parts store. I mean, I feel like I'll be impacted on this too. Hopefully, not too awful bad. So far, so good. We're holding steady, and we haven't seen a huge decrease. And in some ways, I feel like we may even increase because you're going to have people that say, "I'm going to fix that myself," as opposed to taking it to a shop and letting somebody else fix things. So we'll see. I don't know. Am I buffering right now? All right, we'll see, Tim. I hope. Is my signal good? I saw somebody say something about buffering. I hope my signal's still good. I haven't really moved around much in here. Now you talking about, or is my signal? Just let me know, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you can. If my signal's still good, I hope it is. Uh, it's buffered 11 times in 4 minutes. Is that the same way with everybody else? I, I'm on my Wi-Fi in here, so I'm at the mercy of my Wi. Okay. It's been buffering the whole time for you, JC? Well, I could put it on the, well, no, I don't have, on this particular one, I don't have. Okay. Well, I hate the signal's not good. I try to keep a good signal in here. I thought I was in a location that everybody could see me good and hear it good. I'll probably have to wire it in and just go straight into the system. I'm out here. A little lag, Ponca. Okay, it's good enough. Okay, well, as long as I'm good enough, it's not missing anything I say. Okay, well, that's the important part. Maybe I should just sit real still here and be moving my hands and arms and everything. I think if you can see one steady picture, it doesn't buffer the picture as much. So I'll try not to move my head around too much, and I'll just look straight at the camera. All right. Well, all right. Well, I'll do that. Hey, Ag Tech. I just have the one Napa store. That's enough. That's enough for right now. I just my wife doesn't mind me expanding the trucking part as much as she does the Napa part. The Napa part is, well, JC, you get back and go to work now. Have you finished that Chevy yet? I noticed you were going to taking the cab off the other day. I didn't get to see all of that video. Everybody go out there and see JC Smith's projects when you can. Great video, great site. So everybody go out there and see JC. And also Outcast Projects. I don't know what the heck Chris was building yesterday. Now he put great big axles and tractor tires. I don't know what that's got to be something just for. How many wasted hours did you waste on that, Chris? That had to be a fun thing, though. Yeah, you got to have some fun sometimes. That's for sure. And I know that's what y'all guys were doing. Had a shop, and even my dad, he would help us and everything. We all got together and started buying go-karts up and just having a bang up time with go-karts and everything. So yeah, you've got to be able to have some downtime, some fun time, and constructive. And really you can with crazy projects like you were doing, Chris. Sometimes you can actually go, hey, we can do this and this and this, and really do something good out of it too. So you can experiment and have fun and just don't get hurt. Oh, you're rebuilding a 24 valve Cummins now. Okay, well that's cool. Yeah, that's the problem with having to go to the machine shops. That's one reason I'm trying to get my little machine shop of what I've got in order. I've got a lathe and a milling machine, and I had some other things that I'd bought. I'd actually bought a grinder to do clutches and everything, and a few other pieces of equipment that I'd bought in some sales. But that's a whole different situation. Well, Robert, how many are you doing line haul or are you doing the package van? I assume you're doing line haul like what I'm doing is what you're talking about. Yeah. Hey, Kevin. Yeah, we're staying busy out here. Okay, you're talking line haul. Yeah. Now line haul is I do know line haul pretty good. Like I said, I've had a line haul contract since 1987. So started back with RPS. And if everybody wants to see my old original truck, my old cab over, just I've got one of those videos up there, and you can see the old cab over. A friend of mine owns that truck now. He he bought it for me. He bought it from me for the parts years ago. He's had it. He's had it about, well, he's had it way longer than I ever had it. I think he's had it 25 years because when I upgraded and got rid of it, he wanted it for the parts. So he bought it and took the rear end out from under it. And oh gosh, I'm trying to think what else he did. But he just robbed the parts off of it. Yeah, it's it's a wild situation out there right now, trying to figure out what the economy is going to do and figure out everything else. Guys, if y'all don't mind, everybody that's on here, talk amongst yourself. I'm gonna run back here, get me a sun drop. I got a little bit of a dry throat, and they don't want you getting a sore throat nowadays. So hold on one second. Let me go get my medicine. Nobody did any shoplifting while I was gone, did you? Just want to double check. Yeah, I gotta take my medicine for my throat. Good old Diet Mountain Dew. But we're I hope everybody comes out good this week. That's the thing. Like I said, I'm concerned that, like I said, the panic is the worst. It's right back to what good old President FDR said. We have nothing to fear but fear itself, and we're in that situation right now. Do I carry the long pattern wrenches, which I've got? I can see. I've got up to about a 32 millimeter back there. It looks like. Is that what you mean? I got as I lean my head over there, you can probably see a lot of them. And that is the thing. I mean, the people that are spouting off fear are the ones you better stay away from right now. It's crazy that people are being that panicky, and I really hate that. I really hate the fact that people are just panicking something terrible, and that's more scary than anything else. Is causing, like I said, it's like running into a theater and hollering fire, and people will trample and hurt themselves trying to get out. And that's what we've got right now. We got people trampling over themselves, fighting over product that they shouldn't even worry about. I mean, if you need toilet paper, go get toilet paper, get you a couple of rolls or, a bundle of it or whatever you need, take it back home. Don't go in there and try to take every one on the shelf in case you ever run out. I mean, geez, you're going to run out of every product sometime or another. What makes you think that toilet paper is that important? We just, I'm old enough that I have seen a lot of crazy situations out there, and yeah, I hate Ricky's having a problem there. I hope that the wound's not too serious. Oh, he had a cyst growth removed. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I hope now and see this again harkens back to what I was talking about, where we have let our supply chain get controlled by other countries, and now we're at the situation that all these different hospitals government agencies, everybody else. There is nothing stockpiled to a degree of a pandemic that we need to control this. And we are at the mercy of China, Japan, South Korea, wherever some of these supplies are coming from, not all of them from China, but a majority of it, to let that fall into the hands of one of our countries that they don't love us that much. They like to be able to control us. And if they can see any way, shape, or form that they can control us, they will. If they think they could take the United States down over closing the borders on the drugs and locking down all the drugs, they would. And we have let so much technology and so much manufacturing. I mean, everybody and his brother knows that. And I get parts in here too, made in Japan, made in China, made in Korea. We have quit letting the manufacturers do their job. We have let everything go overseas for cheaper results and higher profits. And now it's biting us in the butt. We need to make it more, change the tax advantage so the manufacturers can build it right here in the U.S. We need more things like Snap-on tools. We need more things, trying to think what else is made in the United States, and it's really hard to think. But we need manufacturers right here in the U.S. We don't just need assemblers. We need manufacturers. Our auto parts are getting too far gone, I think, with imports. And we need to make sure that, and I see firsthand, I mean, I'll see stuff from every country that you can think of that's manufactured, not only China and Japan and Korea. I mean, you'll find some that's made in France and Germany and everything else. We need to make sure that we're manufacturing things right here. I think I put the blame back on the government for letting these manufacturers do that. When they've got tax incentives and incentives that they can take, and it makes no sense that you're taking cotton that is manufactured on the farm here in the United States and you ship it all the way across the world and then ship it back as a product and sell it to us. It makes no sense whatsoever that raw material that we have is sent all the way overseas to be brought back to us. And it's because they killed the American manufacturers. So these people can have that. The incentive is better for here than it would be overseas. Instead, you've got incentives for overseas, and the export-import laws are such that, and the government controls that. That's why I said it's a government type thing. The government controls the import and export taxes. The tariffs that they could put on it and everything like that. They could change that where it says, well, it's cheaper for us to make it right here. Yeah, for iron. Yeah, there's only a couple of Nucor Steel is one of the steel manufacturer. My son actually builds equipment for Nucor Steel, and he's had to be able to go to there's some plants in West Virginia and Charleston, South Carolina, I believe, and a couple other places. But think about that. We don't have steel manufacturing. We've got everybody concerned about carbon. Oh, we don't want that here. So they ship it overseas. Well, if we're looking at a global situation, carbon is carbon. If China makes it or if we make it, it is what it is. So all these Green New Deal idiots, and I call them idiots because if they would look at science, it is not the problem. And the humans are, we're not going to be able to contain certain amount of carbon and everything at the levels they want. So well, Mark, I'm in here. I've been yakking away for about an hour. So I hope I'm not, I'm a preacher this morning. Since churches are closed today, you got Preacher Mike out here, I guess. I'm out here preaching about, the COVID-19 and the problems we're having and what it's hurting. Farting cows, yeah, we'll get the Green New Deal crazies in here on that kind of stuff. Well, I'm trying to preach. I hope I'm not. I'm an old guy. I've seen it happen. I've seen it for the young people that don't understand what I've seen over the past 50 or 60 years. I mean, we used to be a strong force with manufacturing. I mean, like I said, even in this area, I'm in North Carolina, cotton mills used to be in every North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, every community had a cotton mill of some description. And they were everywhere. And cotton was king. I mean, there was a lot of farming over in this area too about that. And you see that just diminished down to nothing. And it's all overseas now. Now everybody's able to go to Walmart and get stuff cheap. Great. I mean, you might buy a product cheap, but you're paying for it in the long run. You're paying for it. And we are seeing what we're paying for that now. The cheap product that we got 2 years ago, it's costing our butt huge. And like I said, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. We have got to get these. We got to get the Congress. We got to get the entire Congress and the president together on the same page about getting some incentives so we can get back to manufacturing in the United States. I mean, to let our critical supplies like medicine, and I had no idea myself that I've seen it go overseas on a lot of different things, but I had no idea that all of our antibiotics and our drugs and everything else is made in China or made in Japan or wherever all these manufacturers are. And we have let all that go offshore. It is so scary, it's pathetic. Oh no, they did this. Here's what would solve the problem. That would be great. But it's already been proven that that's not the problem. And, people talk about, oh yeah, it's so much hotter now and all this sort of stuff. Go back and check your stats. We've gone up not even a full degree, not a full degree Celsius. It's like 0.8 of a degree Celsius that the earth has warmed. And there are just as many scientists that will disprove what all these politicians are pushing. They're pushing taxes is what they're doing. They're not pushing fix something. If any of these people could fix something, it would be different. They've already proven that solar and wind are not going to be sustainable, and we're going to have just as many problems by trying to rely on those things. So the one thing that none of them wanted to admit to, and is the most economical of any energy-based situation, and is the cleanest, is atomic power, nuclear power. And that will generate more electricity, and it is safer. There has been fewer people killed with any kind of nuclear device than there has been with wind, solar, and any of the rest of them. There have been more people killed putting up windmills and some of these other things than there's ever been disrupted with a nuclear Pennsylvania, I believe it is. Those things did not create a huge amount of deaths. It was almost pandemic what they tried to create with those disasters, and actually they were contained. Yeah. When and I'm not a proponent saying don't do those things. I like the fact that you can do something solar and generate electricity, and then you're doing, and I think that's a smart thing. But you don't flip it, and it's sort of crazy because I went to an auction just about 6 months ago, and there was a solar company that went out of business in Shelby, North Carolina. They were making solar panels and everything, and they went out of business. It was a German company that came over to the United States and tried to change some things, and they didn't change quick enough, and they went out of business. and I don't know how much tax incentive and everything they got because of that. But we get into some crazy situations out there, and but the main thing is I want to see manufacturing of our essential products come back on shore if we can. And there needs to be a concerted effort from every politician out there to say, we cannot let this happen. We cannot have a situation where a virus or something comes in and we can't combat it because we don't have the supplies. I mean, that to me is bizarre. Well, we can't crash and start over. I mean, if we crash and start over, I mean, that's actually a not a good scenario. My father lived through the Depression, and he saw my dad lived on a farm, thank goodness, and he saw people that had the bankers and the lawyers and everybody else that had all these other jobs. They used to come to my grandpa and beg him for farm products so they could put on their table to live. My granddad, he wasn't hit as hard because he was a self-sustaining farmer. He had his kids. He had his 9 kids, and he had his farm. Basically, he had his farm hands in house because he had 9 kids, but he had to feed those 9 kids. But he was farming, and as long as he could get his supplies, and his supply chain wasn't cut off for seed, and a lot of things back then were actually self-sufficient because they would reuse their own seed and everything. So they'd make their own seed so they could have their crop for the next year, and so they'd get their corn and their wheat and everything else, which is not capable. We're not capable of doing that nowadays. If we let everything, and ag tech, you probably know better than I do, we got everything now with we got these big corporations that own the rights to seeds right now, and I have some friends that shop here at my Napa store. They used to be in the seed business. Well, they basically went out of business because Monsanto and a couple of these other big companies have the rights to the seeds, and you cannot take your own crop like we used to do and take the seed out of it and repurpose it for the next year because the rights are owned by the major corporations, and they will sue you out of business of doing that. So it's crazy. Yeah. And, I would never want to see a recession or a depression. I've seen depressions. I've lived through some depressions back in the 70s. I lived through that depression, which was tough. And my dad lived through the major depression, and it was not good. Philip, we'll see you out here, and I'm just yakking away. I hope I'm not. I still got a decent amount of good enough. We'll continue on. Carlisle, you mean Carlisle? Can you? Okay. Well, see, that's what we used to do. Yeah, the GMO stuff. I've seen where people have been sued by. I saw, I think it was on 2020, one of the news reports, and it was showing a guy that his field was close to another field, farmer's field, and the wind blew the pollination over to his field. Then he got sued by having that seed on his property, and he didn't do anything. Oh, yeah, Cargill. Yeah, you're talking about the yeah. I know you don't. That's a farm subsidy, or not subsidy, a farm co-op or whatever. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I mean, and you were talking about, and that's a perfect example there too of the Dust Bowl. That when the Dust Bowl came through Kansas and everything, Chris, and it's good to read and study your history because, and I love history. I mean, a lot of people go, well, why do you read all these old things? I don't know. It fascinates me because if you study history, you you'll hopefully won't repeat history. And that's what we have, a lot of people that they don't believe what they just haven't studied history to see about the way the life was in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and 60s and so on. I mean, each generation has its own stories to tell. And the older you get, of course, the more stories you will have to tell. That's why I have a lot to tell. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of history out there. Well, and like I said, if you don't, you can see history repeat itself. That's for sure. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. I lived through the oil embargoes of the 70s. I saw all the gas lines and everybody worried about if they can buy enough gas to get to work, and then the crunch of everybody getting rid of the gas guzzling cars and all that sort of stuff. There's the evolution of what I've seen since I was in high school. I graduated high school in '69, and I've seen a lot of things uh, trans, go change a lot. Well, I hope I do. I try to give what wisdom I do have out there. I'm trying to. I hope the guys can be taken. You can take it with a grain of salt. You can either like it or not like it. Uh, I'm not going to influence everybody, but I hope I can uh, tell people my experiences, and I won't lie to you out here on that. I want to tell exactly what happens to me, good, bad, or ugly. I mean, I've had a lot of good things that have happened in my life, more good than bad. But I'm like everybody else. Ever, uh, you know, they all have a story to tell of a bad time. There's not, life. Life is. I mean, you can read it in the Bible. You can read it in other locations. Life is going to give you some misery, more than likely. It's going to be different levels for different people, and I hope that the misery that we're going to go through right now is not going to be so devastating. I hope the governments don't bring down things so bad that it's going to be devastating for the average person out there. And like I said, we're almost in a panic mode right now with a lot of things, and that's disturbing. I don't like this panic mode that we see. Yeah, Koch. Yeah, and of course, we're fortunate that we do have. Uh, we're fortunate that we do have good supplies of food. The United States, if any vital product that we got, we do have a food chain part that's great. But at the same token, by letting our pharmaceuticals get away from us, somebody ought to have their butt kicked for that. Letting all these pharmaceuticals get offshore and letting that get away from us. You know, just as we are a huge supplier of food for the world, we should be the people supplying all the medicine and everything else. We're doing the research, so we should be able to get it. Well, I hope I'm okay, Nicholas. Uh, but um, I'm trying to. No, we're not seeing any hardship yet. We are actually doing fairly good. I mean, I haven't seen. There's probably a little bit of cutback here and there, but it's not nothing dramatic because it once we start getting hardship, then the nation's really going to feel it because we're the supply. We're the transportation people that takes all the supplies to the stores. So if the supply chain is disrupted in the transportation level, the United States will really feel a tough situation. Oh, Nick's the one that owns the van. Okay. Yeah, the flivver. Is that what you're talking about? Nick owns. And anybody wants to see what we're talking about, go to Outcast Projects there. Chris at Outcast, Chris and Ricky, and I don't know all the guys' names, but they got a bunch of guys out there that they have fun with themselves and doing some crazy projects. And Chris has a lot of barn finds and just a plethora of different things. So you go out the flivver. Yeah, the flivver would not. I don't know if that would be sanctioned by the DOT. I think I would keep that flivver on the farm because the flivver looks dangerous. Yeah. Well, you know, Sylvia, well, I mean, we're like everybody. Everybody across the nation is, for some reason, has gotten into a panic mode, and it started with toilet paper, which is, I think they ought to look at it as funny that it's toilet paper, and the food chain. I hope people don't jump out here and start causing shortages, and we cause shortage by panic, and people. That's what people don't realize. Shortages are caused by panic. Now, all these, what's the group I'm trying to think of? The ones, the doom and gloom people that have been stockpiling stuff for years. Now they're probably happy right now, and they're probably the safest, out there, I guess, for some of this stuff because they've been stockpiling for years. But the average person has been, gets their supplies in a normal fashion, and I hope people don't get into a panic mode where they feel like they have to buy everything up and stock up everything, because then we're hoarding, and the hoarding of that does not. Yeah. He got all those corporate titans together, all the Walmarts, Walgreens, all the rest of them, and said that they're going to help fight this. That was a great thing for the nation. Like I said, I'm not trying to talk political out here. I want the nation, I want the nation to come together as a whole, because we're the United States of America. We're a 300 million people that need to work together, not apart. Because when we've got something like this, we don't need to be Republican and Democrat. We need to be Americans first, and that's where I want everybody to be. I mean, it irritates me that you. I mean, we right now as a nation, I feel for certain people out there more so than others, because some people are more vulnerable with this. I mean, of course, everybody out here can be vulnerable to a certain degree, and we all can have some pain from this. But I hate to see the pain created over panic, and that's what I see right now is we're having pain created over panic, and a lot of us are going to have to pay for it. Well, thank you, Sylvia. I'm trying to. I am just who I am. I'm a guy. I'm in business for myself. So I own this Napa store, and I own a trucking business, and I've worked hard all my life. I'm not retired. I'm of retirement age, and I don't want to retire. I'm at. It's sort of ironic or sort of crazy, I guess you might. I'm actually doing well as far as business right now. I mean, it could change at any time, but I like the growth process within my business and within what I'm doing. And if I were to retire, it would be a situation. Well, you're taking away what I like, and I'm at a situation that I actually like what I'm doing. And once you get to that point in your life, why change it? So I'm even though I'm an older guy, I really really enjoy what I'm doing, and I know my health will probably change over the next few years, but I'm working hard every single day to enjoy a healthy lifestyle and a healthy life, healthy and everything else. I'm a happy man. And that's where I'm at in life. So it's you know, if you can be happy in life, I think things can really, turn around for everybody. Hey Blake, how are you? Right. Yeah. And that's, Blake, you're in business for yourself too. And I enjoy progressing. I enjoy, my wife says she would like to cut me out from going to sales. And Chris, I know you can appreciate this. I love to go to auctions and sales because I want to see how cheap I can buy something and how much of a product I can get, what I can use it for later, and all kind of stuff like that. I guess it's a hoarding mode too, in a way, but uh, okay. But I like to see growth. I guess growth is the main thing that I like to see in business out here. And as long as I'm growing, I've done some of that in the years past. I don't like it as good. My wife and I, we like I said, we sold off 6 routes in the Greensboro area, and then after we sold it off, my wife said, "Did we do the best thing by selling off those routes?" And I said, "Well, we got rid of them, and we got rid of that avenue of it." She said, "But look at the revenue we lost that was coming in on a daily basis." And I said, "Well, we're going to have to weigh that between that and what we're able to gain, and maybe expand in a different area." So that's there's a lot of financial situations that you can put yourself in. That let me try to figure out how to explain this. Sometimes selling and making a profit is not always the best thing. I mean, I've sold, and basically what I'm saying. I mean, uh, I'm continually wanting to grow, and like I said, my wife, she calls me, gets me back down on level playing field every once in a while. She gets back and she says, "Let's don't do this or let's don't do that." And but then again, I'll come up with an idea, and she'll say, "Well, that's not bad. Let's do that." So it is what it is. Well, we'll see you, Sylvia. Or no, it's Shyla. I thought it was Sylvia. I had to. I'm sorry. I didn't have. There again, these are old eyes. So when I have to lean into that to see that sometimes. Yeah, it's that's true. That's true, Chris. Uh, slow and steady sometimes is a lot better than trying to just dig away at it and make a fast buck. I mean, there's a lot. There's some times that it's good to make a fast buck, turn things over quickly, and then reinvest again quickly. But slow and steady. There's a lot to be said for slow and steady. That's for certain. And that's the way it is. So I'm trying to steady. And I guess the hardest thing for me, I wish that I had the experience that I've got but I was 40, and I was still had many, many more years to do what I'm doing, and work hard for many more years. And some people have a different mentality with that. Some people say, "Oh, I can't wait till I retire." Well, let me explain. I have a couple of retired guys work for me here in the store, and the thing that they wanted to do was to get back into the workforce because they were bored stiff by being retired. They were really bored. I mean, they like the income coming in that they get without having to work for it. I mean, they like their income that they're making, I don't know, X amount of dollars off of their retirement plan, and not having to actually go to work at what they used to do. But at the same token, sitting at home and watching The View or CNN or MSNBC or Fox, or watching TV 24/7 is not a healthy thing for anybody, mentally or physically. So, it's good to get out in the workforce and do some things. Well, my ideas are similar to that too. Uh, and that's what you got to do. I had one of my teachers, and I don't know, it's not a quote from him, but I remember he told it to me first, and and I'm paraphrasing from what I've always heard. And the thought is, you've got to work like you're going to live forever, and you got to live like you're going to die tomorrow. And I don't know who came up with that. I don't know who originally said that, but that's sort of a saying that I've always kind of stuck with me as a small child. And I thought, that's smart, because if you work hard and you accomplish different things, then you're going to be happy with that. And then if you live like you could die tomorrow, that means you've got to be a good person. You've got to be a person that that people will respect you, and people that you'll feel good about yourself. Not be a mean person, be a kind person. Then your life's going to be a lot fuller, and that's the way I look at it. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, this has been one of the longest live podcasts I've had, I think, in a long, long time. I'm going to get out of here because my voice can only take so much, and the Mountain Dew is wearing out. But I'm going to get out of here, and I've enjoyed the heck out of it. And I want to invite you to come back and visit with me again next Sunday. And I'm going to try to put a couple of videos up here and there. I'm trying to grow my channel little by little, and support all these other guys out here while you're at it. Support all the guys with the blue tools you see on here. A lot of these guys have got channels of their own. So support each other, and I really appreciate everybody jumping in here. So y'all take care, guys, and I will see you out here in another time. See ya.